Hello, welcome to our conversation about the world of artificial intelligence. Look, the last few weeks have been, wow, an avalanche of news, right? And our idea here is to try to understand what really matters in this mountain of information.
We have announcements from big companies, demos of tools that seriously look like something out of a movie, and updates to platforms that many people use every day. We're going to talk about everything from impressive video models and smart glasses to AI on YouTube and an app that, believe it or not, pays you to analyze your calls. There's a lot, right?
So let's get started. We want to separate the wheat from the chaff, right? See what can actually change things. Starting with ChatGPT, which launched a feature called Pulse, it seems like a way to keep us updated. Is that right?
It's basically a personalized daily news summary that arrives on your phone. But the really interesting thing is the proactive personalization. Like, it doesn't wait for you to ask. It uses your conversation history, the feedback you've given, even connected apps like your calendar, to try and guess what might be useful for you
It's a bit like Perplexity's Discover, but it seems to aim for even deeper personalization, almost like a personal briefing every single morning. This idea of anticipating is interesting. And on the visual side, we had Luma AI with Ray 3 in Dream Machine. They say it's the first video model with reasoning that generates HDR.
What do you mean reasoning? The demonstration they described is curious, to say the least. A man cleaning snow with a flamethrower. They say the model analyzed the scene, noted the elements and everything.
Exactly, but what really grabs your attention is what came next. The model generated the video, okay? But then it noticed a mistake. The flames weren't coming out of the flamethrower correctly. And then get this, it redid the video, corrected the flame problem, and even adjusted the way the snow melted to be more realistic in the second version.
So this so-called reasoning seems to be a capacity to self-assess and correct. It's not just generating, it's generating, analyzing its own result, and improving. By itself, almost like an autonomous agent for creating video, right? Wow, this self-correction is a huge leap.
And speaking of video, another one that popped up was Kling 2.5, which is being compared to V3. The cool thing is that it's already on platforms like Crea and Leonardo AI, so it's more accessible. The sources did a creative test, a fashion show with clothes made of spaghetti. What was the result?
Well, the test showed a very clear difference. Kling 2.5, according to the source, took a long time, more than 15 minutes. And the final result, well, it wasn't obvious that it was spaghetti. It looked more like thread, a kind of strange fabric. V3, with the same prompt, delivered something much more convincing and much faster. And this really shows the current dynamic, right? We have super powerful models being released quickly on various interfaces.
This is a great process, but the performance, both in speed and in final quality, still varies a lot. The choice of platform might end up depending on which specific model it has and if it works well for what the person wants to create, right?
Makes perfect sense. And along those same lines, the platform Higgs Field AI also brought in Kling 2.5, but it seems the highlight was including Huan 2.5. This one is interesting, right? Because it's open source and also generates audio. The test was with a traffic jam where every car is shaped like a rubber duck and the horn sounds like the toy. It had to generate an image first, right? How did it turn out?
Definitely. Moving from pure generation to editing, there's Mirage AI, which used to be captions, right? Their proposal is to edit video using only text, like zoom in at 3 seconds or add a nostalgic vibe. It sounds incredible, but did it work well in practice?
Look, the promise is really powerful. Simplifying complex edits using only natural language. Who wouldn't want that? But the test the source conducted found several problems in the mobile app. It had format limitations, only 9:16 vertical video. You could only edit one clip at a time using the AI, and there had to be speech in the video for it to work. On top of that, it was difficult to even see or export the result without paying for a plan.
So it's the classic situation, right? The idea is great, but the execution, usability, and technical barriers still need to mature a lot. A clearer interface about what you can and can't do before you start would be essential, right? The gap between promise and reality can be big sometimes.
And the wave of integrations doesn't stop. Photoshop Beta now lets you use an image model called Nano Banana directly in the tool. How did that go?
The demonstration was simple. They took a person in a photo, used generative fill with Nano Banana, and asked it to transform him into a green alien holding a futuristic bow. And it worked. It created the result on a new layer without destroying the original.
What I find fascinating here, strategically speaking, is seeing a giant like Photoshop, which has its own strong model, Firefly, right? But even so, it's embracing and integrating third-party models like Banana. This gives creators more options, of course, but it also signals a trend towards more interoperability, tools communicating more with each other.
But more options in the same place is always good, right? Now, HEYGEN launched something they call an agent. The idea is you give it a command, a prompt, and this agent chooses the best models for the job: image, video, audio, although video and audio were still on their way. They tested it by asking for a mood board focused on wolves and the color purple. How did the agent handle that task?
Well, the concept of an agent that organizes different tools is very promising, right? To simplify workflows. But the execution in this test was a bit clumsy. First, the agent searched for images on the internet, but it applied its own watermark on top of images that already had stock photo watermarks, which is very strange and ethically complicated, right? Then, when it tried to generate its own images, it produced several errors.
It managed to generate a few in the end, but the whole process was described as unstable and inconsistent. This suggests that while the idea of autonomous agents is serious, the implementation still needs a lot, and I mean a lot, of refinement, especially in generating original content and in how it handles external sources, copyrights, and that sort of thing.
I see. That double watermark issue is complicated. And still on the topic of organizing ideas visually, Google Labs launched Mixboard, for now in beta only in the United States. What's its angle? Is it different from HEYGEN?
It seems so. Mixboard appears to be less of an agent trying to do everything on its own and more of an interactive design tool. It's a space for you to organize images and, this is cool, to mix them. The example was a board about birds. You could select an image of a peacock and one of a red bird and ask the AI to mix the two, and it would generate a visual hybrid.
One criticism from the source was about usability. It seems that to navigate the board, you had to use scroll bars, which might not be ideal for a large visual workspace, but the idea of remixing is cool. So, while Rylu tries to automate with an agent, Mixboard seems focused on giving the user tools to remix and combine things visually themselves in that space. Two different approaches to visual creativity.
So, and for those who work with knowledge, Notebook LM, that Google platform for analyzing documents and such, gained study features, automatically generated flashcards and quizzes.
Exactly. Now, from the material that a person uploads, class notes, articles, whatever, Notebook LM can create flashcards and tests on its own. They used an example with material about that satirical conspiracy theory, birds aren't real. To illustrate, the AI generated questions and answers in a flashcard and quiz format for students and researchers.
The application is very direct, right? It transforms content that was just sitting there into an active review tool. The point I find noteworthy here is the AI not just summarizing or answering questions about the text, but actively creating personalized study material. It's a very interesting connection between language processing and actual pedagogical techniques.
For web browsing, Google is putting Gemini, their AI model, directly into Chrome. For now, it's only in the United States for Mac and Windows. How does it work in practice?
Well, a Gemini icon will appear in the browser's address bar. You click it and you can ask questions about the page you have open, ask for a summary, or find out more about something mentioned there. The demonstration the source cited was with an article about Steph Curry's investment firm, the basketball player investing in AI. You could ask about the article and then ask who Steph Curry is and what his relationship with AI is. It worked with both voice and text.
There were model options, Flash and Pro, but the Pro might require a paid plan. It wasn't entirely clear. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the browser is becoming an increasingly active AI interface, right? This competes directly with extensions that already do this, like Perplexity and Comet. Native integration can be very powerful and opens the door for future browser agent functions, where the AI could perform more complex tasks within Chrome, not just analyze the open page.
This battle for the browser interface is definitely going to heat up. And speaking of Perplexity, they also announced an AI email assistant, but the price really stood out. It requires an ultra plan for $200 a month. What does it do for that price?
Yeah, the price is steep. The promises are to automatically categorize emails, help write replies, check your calendar to suggest meeting times, and give you daily summaries of your inbox. The source didn't test it because of the cost, of course, but this points to two things, I think. First, this trend of AI assistants focused on very specific niches, like email management, and second, that the most advanced AI features can still have a very high cost barrier for many people. That $200 price tag suggests that the focus might be more corporate, or that continuously processing emails is just computationally expensive.
$200 a month to organize email. Man, it has to be really worth it. Changing the subject completely, let's go to Meta Connect. The big announcement there seems to be the new Meta Ray-Ban glasses, now with a display. What's so new about them?
Look, they keep the camera and audio from the previous models, which were already well known, but the big new feature is a small color screen projected onto one of the lenses, and they say it leaks almost no light outwards, so it's very discreet. And control is handled by a neural wristband you wear. It interprets subtle finger gestures to navigate menus, adjust the volume, like by twisting your wrist in the air, things like that.
Wait a minute, a neural wristband? What do you mean? What is that?
So it's an interface that detects the neural signals the brain sends to the muscles in the hand and fingers when we think about making a movement. This allows for very discrete controls, without needing to touch the glasses or pick up your phone. The functions they showed include viewing messages from WhatsApp for now, taking photos, of course, seeing visual AI responses like the weather forecast, and two very impressive things: real-time translation with subtitles appearing near the face of the person you're talking to, and a focus mode to isolate the voice of the person you're speaking with in a noisy place.
The source even mentioned that Google had something similar in development, but Meta went ahead and launched it first. What's really remarkable here is this convergence, right? Super advanced hardware, glasses with a display, a neural wristband, an intelligent software translation, audio focus, and a completely new control interface with these neural gestures.
This real-time visual translation, if it really works well, wow, it could completely change how we communicate across languages. Man, it really seems like science fiction becoming reality. And besides these super powerful glasses, what else of relevance did Meta announce?
They also announced persistent room mapping for the Meta Quest, their virtual reality headset. This allows you to create digital spaces that remember the physical layout of your room, for example. And Horizon Studio, which is a tool for building virtual worlds in Meta Horizon worlds using only text.
You describe what you want, like submerged ancient ruins, add hidden treasures, place mythical guardians, and the AI generates the 3D environment for you. This Horizon Studio is almost the idea of the holodeck from Star Trek becoming a reality, right? It creates immersive environments in a super intuitive way. Just by describing them, it shows the enormous potential of generative AI for creating content for the metaverse and for virtual worlds in general.
The metaverse for YouTube. The platform also came with a bunch of AI news at the Made on YouTube event, right? Mostly for content creators.
Yes, some very interesting tools They launched Ask Studio, which is like an AI chatbot inside YouTube Studio to help creators better understand their channel data, get video ideas, and so on. And the A/B testing that you could already do with thumbnails will now also be available for video titles to see which title gets more clicks.
Cool. But maybe the most wow features are others, right? Like the automatic dubbing one.
Oh, yes, exactly. They announced an automatic dubbing tool that promises lip syncing. That's amazing. In other words, it's not just translating the audio, it's adjusting the creator's lip movements to make it look like they're actually speaking the other language using a synthesized voice based on their original one. Imagine the potential of that for the global reach of content. It's revolutionary.
On top of that, they are also implementing similarity detection to try to combat deepfakes, which is a growing problem. A necessary response. And there was even more. A tool to remix speech and turn it into music using DeepMind's model Lyria 2.
Turning a spoken audio clip? Well, they're integrating the V3 video model directly into the Shorts creation tool, starting in a few countries as expected.
Yeah, the integration of V3 into Shorts is very significant. It puts a very powerful video generation tool in the hands of millions of users. But the source raised a valid concern, right, about a potential flood of AI-generated content in feeds. This raises important questions about authenticity, about the future of content creation on the platform, and how that balance will be struck.
It's a lot of fronts at once. Wow. Now, so we don't get lost, let's quickly go over other important news that came out in recent weeks. Almost a rapid-fire news block.
Yes, it was a lot. Look, in summary, an artist who uses AI to make music, Azazen Monite, using Suno, signed a multi-million-dollar contract, like $3 million, with a record label, Hollywood Media. An app called Neon appeared, which pays users up to $30 a day to record their phone calls made through the app, with clear consent to be used as data to train AI.
And the app became super popular, reaching 7th place among the most downloaded apps for the iPhone. It raises a lot of ethical questions, right, about privacy and data usage. That editing feature with the Nano Banana model we saw in Photoshop is also coming to Google Photos on Android phones.
Adobe Firefly Boards, which is Adobe's mood board tool, added integration with video models from other companies, Runway and Pika, which is from Moon Valley. More interoperability again. Adobe Firefly Boards, Adobe's mood board tool, added integration with video models from other companies.
ELEVENLABS, famous for voice cloning, launched Studio 3.0, now with support for video, automatic subtitles, and speech correction. It's becoming an audio and video suite. Adobe Firefly Boards, Adobe's mood board tool, added integration with video models from other companies.
Suno, the AI tool for music, launched a V5 model and also a built-in DAW, a digital audio workstation to edit the music right there. We saw several new LLMs, the large language models, Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash and Flashlight with improvements, Grok 4 Fest from Elon Musk's XAI, and from Alibaba, Ken 3 Max, which they say is strong in coding, and Ken 3 Omni, which is their open source multimodal model. The race continues.
We saw several new LLMs. ChatGPT got parental controls based on conversation analysis to verify age, perhaps, and features for teams to share projects. We saw several new LLMs. A startup called Factory A. I came in first in a software development benchmark, the SWE Bench. The source mentioned they are an investor in them. Good to note.
Look how interesting. Microsoft 365 Copilot now offers models from Anthropic Claude 3, which is a competitor to OpenAI, alongside the GPT models. This is despite Microsoft having invested billions in OpenAI. It shows a search for diversification, perhaps not putting all their eggs in one basket.
That is interesting. And to wrap up, Zoom announced photorealistic AI avatars to use in meetings for when you don't want to turn on your camera but want to look like you did. Man, the speed and variety are impressive, right? It goes from pure entertainment, like music and video, to productivity at work. code, meetings, while also touching on very serious ethical issues and huge market movements.
Exactly. This quickfire block shows just that, the capillarity of AI. It's weaving itself into everything: creative tools, music, video, images, productivity tools, email, code, meetings. In the major platforms we use every day: YouTube, Chrome, Photoshop, in the way we communicate, translation, calls.
And at the same time, it's creating new business models, some very strange, like that Neon app, and important ethical dilemmas, and it's shaking up the market, like Microsoft using models from Anthropic in Copilot. The breadth and speed of this integration are really the main point.
Ooh, that was intense. We've covered a long road here, from AIs trying to guess what we want to read to glasses that translate conversations on the spot and tools that create entire worlds with just words. What's very clear is that AI is becoming omnipresent, right? In almost everything digital.
Exactly. And if we try to connect all of this, we see AI integrating very quickly into how we create content, videos, music, code, how we communicate, translation, dubbing, even avatars in meetings, and how we access and consume information, summaries, browser assistants.
All of this together raises an important question for us to think about, right? As we become more and more dependent on these tools in our daily lives, in what ways might this, perhaps subtly, begin to shape not only what we do, but how we think, how we interact, and even how we express our own creativity and originality?
That's a truly fundamental reflection on our relationship with technology and how it ends up transforming us, right?